Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. Purdue goes from sweet to elite in the most dramatic fashion, with Trey Kaufman-Renn's tip in with less than a second to go, pushing Purdue into the Elite Eight for the second time in 3 years, third time in 7 years. We'll talk about it all here right now. A little bit of an instant reaction show here on Friday morning. How Purdue got the win. What's next for Purdue on Saturday against Arizona? Let's get on in. If you don't, follow the show on Twitter, @BoilersBeyond. Plenty to talk about. Come join the conversation. There's a fantastic video up on my Twitter feed from listener Dylan Rosema, who was out there in San Jose in the first row and got an awesome video of that tip in from Trey Kaufman-Renn, the whole final possession there. Go check that out, and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be here all summer long, all through the rest of the season, into the off season. We don't take time off on this show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss a thing. You know, the old saying in this NCAA tournament is survive in advance, and it's the cliche that gets thrown around all the time in this month. Anytime a team has a bit of a rocky performance but moves on or doesn't play to its potential, that's what you hear. Hey, survive in advance, you move on. This was that personified. Because when you look at the way the game played out, not very much would lead you to indicate that Purdue was going to win the game. Texas goes 11 for 25 from three, a team that doesn't shoot many threes, a team that's not a great three-point shooting team. Texas finishes the season as a 35% three-point shooting team with a really low three-point attempt rate. It doesn't shoot a lot of them. And Texas comes out and makes 11 threes. Purdue, on the other hand, shoots a pretty good amount of threes as a team. It makes a lot of them. It's number 12 in the country in three-point percentage, and it goes 4 for 20. And outside of Fletcher Lawyer, Purdue goes 0 for 12. Right there is a stat that in the NCAA tournament a lot of times gets you beat. And it's not like Purdue was taking bad three-pointers, but the game of basketball is a make-or-miss game sometimes, and Texas made shots and Purdue didn't. You look at Texas keeping it relatively even on the glass. Texas is able to get 12 offensive rebounds that lead to 12 second chance points. And while it's not a backbreaker, that's more offensive rebounds than you'd like. But ultimately, Purdue was able to find a way. It was Purdue surviving. It was Purdue making plays when Purdue had to make plays. Purdue didn't have a great game on the defensive end. Texas does a lot of really good things. Texas has some good athletes. Dalen Swain is a tough matchup. Vokatitis is a good big guy who does some stuff that's hard to match up with. You know, when he gets the ball in position to go score, there was one play where Texas did an old trick that Purdue used to do for Zach Edey and Isaac Haas, where it really clears out and gets that entry from the top of the key into the middle of the lane for a post-up where you can't come with a double. And he scored right away on that. You know, he did some good things. He was really limited due to foul trouble, and some of the stuff that went on was a little bit egregious with him, but he presented some tough matchups. Tremont Mark had a game that, had this game gone the other way, you're talking about as an all-time NCAA tournament performance. The dude can barely walk. And even when he's really hobbled out there, he's still hitting these tough shots with not a lot of space to get him off. He has 29 points on 15 shots. Jordan Pope is playing on a broken foot, and he knocks down 4 3-pointers and plays 33 minutes. It was really, really impressive from Texas. It was Texas feeling like it made everything. But Purdue ultimately was able to get some stops late. It was able to string together a couple stops. It forced a couple of turnovers. it was able to take the lead, and Purdue made one more play than Texas down the stretch. That's what the game comes down to. It's a heck of a resolve win for Purdue. It's one that Texas isn't a double-digit seed the way there are double-digit seeds that Purdue has lost to in the past. This is a Texas team that is going to finish the season 31st at KenPom, ahead of a lot of teams that had better seeds than it did. 6 seed North Carolina is below Texas and KenPom. A lot of 8 and 9 seeds, 10 seeds. This is a pretty good Texas team that had some real turbulence during the season. But it would have been really, really disappointing for everyone involved to see Purdue's senior class go out with a loss to a double-digit seed, with all of the hubbub and hoopla that would have created, the talking heads getting their kicks on with that. Instead, Purdue's able to pull it out, and it does so behind just great, great performances from Trey Kaufman-Renn and Fletcher Lawyer. Those two have been outstanding in the NCAA tournament. Just outstanding. And it's not to take away from Braden Smith. He had a solid game. He played pretty well. He's still a little bit cold shooting the ball. He's getting good looks. There's nothing you can do. And for Purdue, you hope the water finds its level a little bit with him as it goes into Saturday, and maybe he's due for a little bit of an eruption. But Trey Kaufman-Renn has 20 points on 10 shots. He makes all 4 free throws, gets 8 rebounds. The free throws were a big deal, man. You want to talk about a game that gets decided on the margins? Texas goes 8 for 15 from the free throw line, and I want to say it missed the front end of 1 or 2 1-and-1s. So really you're looking at 8 for 16, 8 for 17. Purdue goes 15 for 20. Oscar Clough goes 3 for 4. Trey Kaufman-Renn 4 for 4. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. All of that adds up here, and Purdue was able to win the battle at the free throw line, and that's a big part of why Purdue won this game. A couple more points here and there, and this thing's looking entirely different. I thought Purdue was really good down the stretch of the game. Texas had, I don't want to say popped Purdue in the mouth, but Texas was really good at getting what it wanted on offense, and it executed really well. It made shots at a really high level, but you saw late Purdue play some good defense. There were a couple of shots that Texas really had to force up, and they didn't go in. Purdue's decision to foul Vokatitis up by 3 with 19 seconds left, I thought was a pretty good one. I liked that play. It wasn't, you can second guess this all you want. The foul up 3, or not foul up 3, you can lose either way. I mean, Purdue fouled up 3 in the Elite 8 in 2019 and it lost. There is not a right answer. There really isn't. But Purdue fouled a free throw shooter who's not a great free throw shooter, who had been even worse in the NCAA tournament than his season numbers, and then he made them both. It wasn't great execution by Purdue to have Oscar Clough pick up his 5th foul on the Dalen Swain drive, the and one. It wasn't some egregious foul, but in that position, you just can't be there. You can't let that whistle get called. That shot wasn't going to get blocked. It wasn't even getting contested. You just got to let him have it at that point. But ultimately, Purdue ends up with a really good action there where Braden Smith gets a good look. It goes off the rim, and Trey Kaufman-Renn's right there for the follow. Charles Barkley was quick to jump on it that Texas didn't have Vokatitis on the floor. Yeah, I don't know. I can hear both arguments. Sean Miller said he didn't want him to get switched onto a ball screen. Probably fair. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of sport sometimes. But Trey Kaufman-Renn's able to get position on Dalen Swain. It wasn't a foul underneath. The officiating in this game was rough, man. And it wasn't even that the decisions made were terrible, but my goodness, the replay reviews were just brutal. The replay review of the out of bounds where there were clearly 0.5 seconds left and it just gets called to Texas was weird. A double, was it a double technical or a double flagrant on Kaufman-Renn and Heidi was dumb. The elbow of Vokatitis to CJ Cox, and then Oscar Clough gets called for a foul. All of this stuff loomed really large because Oscar Clough dealt with a little bit of foul trouble. He checked back in with maybe 13 minutes to go in the game and had 3 fouls at that point. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. It wasn't smooth. I've had enough of CBS's sideline angles. I mean, this is the Sweet 16, man. They had a tie game with like less than 4 minutes to go, and we're doing the sideline camera where you can't see anything. And an official's blocking part of the screen at one point. What are we doing? What are we doing? Just show the game. A lot of frustrations as a viewer of the game, but Purdue found a way, and that's all you can do in this event. It really is a major credit to CJ Cox. It was pretty well reported that he was going to play. You know, he went through the shoot around on what would have been Wednesday, and it was pretty evident he was going to give it a go, but at no point did he look hampered at all. At no point did he look hobbled. He plays 31 minutes, scores 10 points, has 3 mid-range jumpers early on. Purdue's first 12 points all came on jumpers, 2 threes from Fletcher Lawyer and 3 mid-range jumpers from CJ Cox. CJ Cox pulls down 8 rebounds, has a couple assists. He was awesome. Played some really good defense late. I think it was him who forced a really long 3 towards the end of the game when Texas needed a better shot than it got. Just a really nice performance from him and overcoming his ailment a little bit. You know, again, it's Purdue finding a way. It's Purdue finding a way. This isn't the best defensive team in the world. That much is very clear. The last 2 games have really showed that. There are limitations there. But, again, all you can do is survive and advance. And now Purdue returns to the underdog role where, frankly, no one's going to pick Purdue to beat Arizona on Saturday. There isn't a ton of reason, just if you look at what happened last night where, yes, Purdue wins. Purdue didn't play super well. Purdue didn't shoot great. It wasn't the most convincing win. And then Arizona goes out and utterly destroys Arkansas. I mean, that was a splattering. That was wild. 109-88. It's going to be a very different game than that. Purdue's certainly going to try to slow the tempo down quite a bit. Arkansas is more than content to run with Arizona. Both teams play at a super high tempo, and you see that reflected. Purdue's not going to do that. Purdue is not made to play at that type of a tempo. Purdue is going to try to slow that thing down a little bit and really work in the half-court offense. It's a heck of a challenge, man. It really is. It is a heck of a challenge. Arizona's awesome. Arizona is number 1 in the country on KenPom by a decent margin at this point. It's 35-2, and its 2 losses were to Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse, and then an overtime loss to Texas Tech. As I said, though, this is a 1-game deal. This is not a 7-game series. This is not a 3-game series. This is a 1-game deal. If it were a series, you wouldn't feel good about it because Arizona's size, its length, its interchangeability really worries you. But it's still a team that doesn't shoot many 3-pointers. Even in the game against Arkansas, Arizona put up 109 points, only taking 8 3-pointers. It got to the free throw line a ton, shot 39 free throws. It made 32 twos, which is crazy. It's a really good team. Purdue has its work cut out for it here, but again, if you believe in the Disney movie-ification of things, then maybe there's something here because Purdue seniors kind of refuse to lose, in the game against Texas. They kind of refused to lose in the game against Miami, and there wouldn't really be a much better story in the sport than Purdue's seniors coming back to Indianapolis to play in the Final Four in their senior season. They became the all-time winningest players in Purdue history with the win over Texas, a very, very fitting accomplishment. I mean this with all due respect to Caleb First, but I think this class probably has cemented itself as the greatest four-year class in Purdue history of a group of guys that stayed for 4 years. It's been remarkable. You know, you can put Mason Gillis and Zach Edey up there and Ethan Morton. Obviously, they got to a national title game, but what this group has done is just outstanding. And now they have that record, and I don't want to say it's not going to get broken, but it's a whole lot of wins. They've won a lot of games the last 4 years. These guys have really transformed Purdue basketball. Not that it was in a bad place before, but really elevated it in terms of public perception, in terms of accomplishment. And now they go out there with one more game in the Elite Eight where they're finally underdogs. I had Pete's Lob Wedge sent me, I think, 20 or 21 times, and I was messaging with Cobra Stats about this too. About 20 or 21 times, Purdue's been an underdog in the roughly 150 games this senior class has played. It's going to be one more on Saturday when Purdue is, I want to say I saw a 5.5, 6.5 point underdog against Arizona. Ken Pom has Purdue +4, 34% win expectancy. The pressure's not on Purdue now. It isn't. It isn't on Purdue at all. And this team's done all right in an underdog role at times. So we'll see what Purdue can do. But, you know, just as intense of a game as I can remember, that ending was unreal. It really, really was. That was something else, man. What a game that was last night. What a way for Purdue to find a way. What a shot for Trey Kaufman-Renn. Brian Newbert over at Golden Black had just an outstanding feature on him the other day before this game. Something that if you're a Purdue fan, if you're a Trey Kaufman-Renn fan, you've got to read. It was really, really, really good. And it's fitting that he gets it. It's fitting that Fletcher Lawyer was such a big part, that Braden Smith had the basket to put Purdue ahead. Had a free throw there that put Purdue up 3, and then had a de facto assist there on the missed shot. Just such a good run for those guys, and we'll see what they can do on Saturday. It's going to be a heck of a challenge. It is. Don't get me wrong here. This is now, pressure is off. This is now, you've gotten to a great point. The Elite Eight is the most underrated achievement in college basketball because it really blends in. You don't make the Final Four, and that's the gold standard. That's the pinnacle of the sport. But you're getting out of a Sweet 16 game where it is a dogfight no matter who you play. So Purdue's in the Elite Eight. It's going to play at 8:49 on Saturday night against Arizona in San Jose. We'll see what goes on, but that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you for spending time with me. We'll be back shortly after the game on Saturday. We'll talk about what's next. Either Purdue's going to the Final Four or the ride has come to an end. We'll be here nonetheless. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. This episode is brought to you by me. Yes, me. When I'm not watching sports, or more accurately, talking about them, I'm talking insurance with the people of Indiana. As an agent with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, I want to help you protect what you've worked hard to achieve. From home and auto to life and business insurance, I'm here to help you. Give me a call at 317-846-5861 or email me at jordan.jones@infarmbureau.com. Let's protect you from life's everyday risks.